Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Podium Picks. Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez inside the Whoop Studios. We are doing a very exciting draft today, Tommy, and I'm really pumped up about our guest from the Deadboys, trainer to the WWE superstars, the man himself. You've probably seen him on the floor if you've been at the CrossFit Games over the past 10 years. He's been one of our best floor announcers. Josh Gallegos, how you doing, man?
Woo! Baba Booey to each and every one of you guys out there in podcast land. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Tommy, for having me on such a special show. I feel not only honored, but privileged. So thanks a lot.
You are more than welcome. We could not have anybody else on this show for this particular draft because we're going to do, in honor of WrestleMania being last weekend. Now it's a 2-day event, Tommy. It's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
We're going to do
weekend long, baby.
We're going to do a wrestling draft. So, yeah, buckle up. It's going to get heated, and we're extending it to 6 rounds. We couldn't just do 5. We're doing 6.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to do 6 rounds. But before we get into that, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, Whoop, the performance tool that is changing the way people train, recover, and track their fitness. Tommy, how the numbers looking today?
Pretty good, actually. I'm back in the green.
All right, good.
68%. I got 87% on the sleep performance. Just over 7.5. You were getting wrecked in the comment section when you were talking about your 2.5 hours of sleep.
No, it was 3 hours, but no.
I haven't worked out, but my day strain is up because I was just tabulating the results from last week, and I was going back and watching old wrestling highlights and just getting fired up alone in my apartment.
Well, I'm at a 44 recovery with a 13-day strain. I've already worked out today, so that's why. And where was my sleep? What did I do? Oh, I had 4.5 hours of sleep, Tommy. So looking pretty good. That's about I had a 68% efficiency. So not bad. Could be better. Josh, how about you? How are you looking on the Whoop today?
Oh boy. First of all, fellas, I've been doing fairly well on the Whoop train this past week, but and I'll get into that in a minute. My recovery today is 57%, which is in the yellow. I'm on a fun yellow streak. That's no fun for anybody. My sleep is 3 hours and 45 minutes. And there's a good
man after my own heart right there.
There's a good explanation for that. One, I stayed up till midnight to watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yes, I'm a nerd. I stayed up for that. I also had to stay up because I was reserving Disneyland tickets like every 40-year-old adult would. So 40-year-old man staying up and watching a comic book TV show, and a 40-year-old man staying up to get Disneyland tickets for him and his girlfriend. So
nothing wrong with this.
There you go. However, I will say, and the fine folks at Whoop, I want you to explain something to me. Last week, I freaked out because for the first time in my history, my Whoop history, I got 1%, not once, but twice. All right. And I thought for sure it was game over. It was curtains. I thought, I just got vaccinated not too while ago. I was like, it has something to do with the vaccination. Maybe I got COVID. The gears in my head started spinning. Of course, being the neurotic kid that I am, I ran and got a COVID test. I was fine. I couldn't explain it, but I got 1%, not once, but twice. And I want someone to explain to me why that happened.
I've never had 1%.
Clearly,
the many terrible recovery days I've had, I've never had a 1. But you've had a couple 1s in there.
Yeah, but those are self-inflicted ones.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know if you could see here, but like you could see right there very clearly. 1% back to back. It was not fun.
Day strain though.
That looks like a flat line.
Yeah, that day strain is up there, man.
I'm calling it ER doctors. I'm like, am I dead? Am I really a dead boy? Is this it? Have I became my own gimmick? But no, no one could explain to me.
How are the Deadboys doing, by the way? How's Deadboys Fitness going?
We're doing great. It's a lot of fun. We have a fun fitness community. I know there's a lot of online programs out there. I know there's a lot of fitness communities out there, but this is one that is very special, near and dear to our hearts. Seth Rollins and myself, or Colby Lopez and myself, we started this whole fitness, not routine, but this community solely geared towards wrestling fans, but it has now expanded to people outside of wrestling, which has been a lot of fun. So we're getting the nerd culture in there, we're getting the fitness culture, and of course we're getting the wrestling fans. So it's been a lot of fun, and we've been doing really fun events. We just had WrestleMania week workouts, so we did really fun WrestleMania themed workouts. We did one called EST Grace, and we had Bianca Belair do our intro video to EST Grace.
Nice.
I don't know,
current champion.
Yeah, current SmackDown Women's Champion. She was also at regionals, I think, in 2013. So Yeah, and she told me her 2 favorite movements were clean and jerks, which she does in the ring with an actual human being, and double unders. So we did a fun little EST grace.
Nice.
We had a Sami Zayn workout. We had a Big E workout. We had a Miz workout, which nobody loved. Yeah, we just like to have fun, and it's cool that these guys will come on and do fun intros for us. So,
well, and the thing that I think was so cool about you guys and what you do is that you're getting outside the CrossFit bubble and exposing people who might not know a whole lot about fitness to that message. What that's been like for you to be able to bring people in who may not have known about this community had it not been for what you guys are doing.
It's great. I mean, it goes, I get kind of a fun, I get a fun smile on my face when I see people backstage, whether it be wrestlers that, I watch on TV every week. They're like, oh yeah, this CrossFit stuff's really fun. Or for example, even though it was kind of a tragic workout due to our friend, John Huber, AKA Luke Harper, dying, so many people did our memorial workout, for him, and in return we're like, oh my god, this is a lot of fun, this type of working out, this fun methodology that is CrossFit. How do I get more? Like, how do we sign up for more? Can you show me some more fun workouts? Can you point me in the right direction? I live here, can you show me which gym is good to go to here? So it's kind of fun to be an unofficial ambassador to the sport and telling people like, hey, look, this is where I started, and this is where I would suggest you go to, whether it be big time WWE wrestlers or fun wrestling fanatics that go to the shows or watch on TV or that are in the Thunderdome. It's been a lot of fun to kind of navigate these people and point them in the right directions.
Cool. Well, we appreciate everything you're doing, and we're glad you are on the show today because we're doing our wrestling draft. Got to remind people that, if you want to get on the Whoop train, go to whoop.com, WHOOP.com, and use the code TALKING15. You'll save 15%. You'll be on your way to optimizing the way you train and recover, and knowing when you need to push, knowing when you need to hold back, like when you're Josh Gallegos and you get a 1% recovery. Probably not a day that you want to hit it too hard. All right.
You don't want to throw your Whoop away. You just want to ride it out, because once you get the 2 back-to-back 1%, you're not dead yet. You're not dead yet.
You are not. So let's all right, here's what's going on today. So we're going to do a wrestling draft. Josh, so it is customary for us that we always allow our guest to decide where he or she wants to draft to begin. And the way this works, it's like a fantasy football draft. So if you draft first, it'll go second, third, second, then back to first, and then you'll get 2 in a row. So it's like that snake draft. But just you need to be aware of that. But where would you like to kick off the drafting today?
As far as what category?
What spot? What spot do you want? First, second, or third?
Well, first, let me just if you guys hear a snoring in the background, it isn't me. It's my lovely bulldog matzo ball that's right at my feet. So if you hear snoring,
it's an appearance on the show before this is over. So.
We might make it happen. We're going to talk to our publicist, but yeah, I'll take first. Why not? I'll go first.
Josh is going to draft first. That means Tommy, you and I will now flip.
Yep.
I will flip a coin, and then we will announce the winner from last week, and we'll get going on this. So heads, tails. All right. So call in the air.
Heads.
It is heads.
I'm going to take number 2.
Tommy takes 2. That sticks me at spot number 3. Yep. All right. But now, before we begin, 2 weeks ago, we had our ice cream draft with one Pat Sherwood. The votes have been tabulated. I don't know the results here, but Tommy is the keeper of the official results. So Tommy, to you for the official results from last week.
It was a hotly contested match for a long time, but then Sean really ran away with it. And Sean is your winner by 17 votes over me in second.
Yeah.
And then Pat was 4 votes behind me.
Ooh, it's close for second.
Sean, just the classic flavors. A lot of
I went with the simple stuff.
Yep.
People love it.
I thought I had the Midwestern vote with Grater's ice cream.
That's like my 4th win now, right?
I know. Right now, let's see. Sean, all time.
I think it's.
Let's see.
So what was the winning flavor?
So it's people vote on how good your overall draft was.
Yep. Well, then nobody. I will tell you this right now. No one's going to like my draft, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. It's about you. I picked with my heart, and I had some strategy, but it worked.
And there have been times where I felt like I had a less quality draft, but I was authentic to myself, and the way I sold it, I think, got me the fan vote. So it resonates.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into this week's draft then, as we do wrestling, and here are the categories. So you need to fill out these positions, if you will, in your draft. You need to draft tag team. You need to draft a male superstar, a female superstar, and this could be from any era, a manager, a finishing move, and a match. So those are the 6. You can draft, those in whatever order you want. And Josh Gallegos, you are up first with your first pick here in our first ever wrestling draft.
And I get to pick any category?
Any category.
Any category. Okay. You just have to pick at least one of those in your whole draft.
Okay. I see what you're saying. All right, good. All right. Well, I'm going to start off with my male superstar.
Okay.
All right. My male superstar, who I think is going to take the CrossFit world by storm. I feel like he has already, but I'm going to go with the one and the only Chandler Smith.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's not a wrestler, Josh. We're talking wrestling.
Oh, wrestlers. Okay, well in that case, I mean, I want him to be a wrestler. Sorry, I was confused. I'm going to go with, of course, the one and only Seth Rollins.
Okay. All right. That's who I thought you were going to take.
Yeah, Colby Lopez.
That's a great pick. You can't argue with that.
Give us a little justification for the people at home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, first of all, he is a bona fide Hall of Famer, first ballot, right? You got Money in the Bank winner, tag team, multiple tag team titles. You also have, sorry, I was really excited that we were turning CrossFitters into wrestlers. So I apologize. But and I want to explain what I had in my head going on. But anyway, long story short, Colby Lopez, Money in the Bank winner, Royal Rumble winner, multiple tag titles, Intercontinental title, former US champion, as well as the WWE World and Universal Champion. I mean, the list goes on and on. Not only that, he qualified for the quarterfinals of this year's CrossFit Games, and he did all 6 workouts in 2 days. That's right, in 2 days. So, I mean, the guy can do it all. And yes, of course, I'm putting over my friend / business partner, but why wouldn't I? The man is the Messiah. The man is dripping in confidence. And let me tell you what, there is nobody that can be on the same level as Seth Rollins, Colby Lopez, both on the mic, both athleticism wise, and both fashion wise. So that would be my number 1 pick. But I also think Chandler Smith is going to take over the CrossFit world, but that's beside the point.
Okay. I hope you're right. Cause I like Chandler a lot.
Oh yeah.
All right. That's 100%. a strong opener. That's not who I thought Josh was going to take though.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. I thought he was going to go a little older school on that one, but you can't argue with that pick. Tommy, you are now up with your first pick.
So I'm going to go match.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
We would be inauthentic in this show if I didn't pick this one.
I think I know where you're going.
1998, King of the Ring, Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Mankind. This is specifically why I wanted the second place pick, because we even have it in our soundboard, the call from JR in that match. That's where it comes from. I was 12-year-old Tommy was, over at my friend Ziad's house. We had gotten the pay-per-view. Everybody's huddled around watching the match. And you could hear a pin drop for the entirety of the match once he was thrown off the top of the cage. Then he got power bombed, thrown through the top of the cage. It wasn't supposed to happen, is my understanding. Goes through the cage, down on from the top of the cage onto a bunch of tacks. Also super underrated. You don't see used anymore as the tacks as a prop. And like they've done some like documentary style work on that match before, and you can hear the Undertaker talk about how I thought I just killed my friend because when the cage collapsed, he went through and just fell unabated, crashing down into the mat. It's something that he'd never seen before. But in like a true champ, and Mick Foley just kept coming forward, kept getting up, and he got tombstoned onto the tacks. It was one of the gnarliest things that I was 12. And, I still had all the belief and wonderment of a young 12-year-old child in my eyes. And at that point, I looked at my friend. And I said, I don't care what happened. That hurt. That almost killed him. That was amazing. And it's like one of the things I always remember. Our friend's mom took us out to get food after that. And I'm just sitting there, like eating my chicken nuggets, like staring out into space. As I picture Mankind crashing to the ground over and over again.
I love that it was chicken nuggets, by the way.
100%.
I remember, I guess there was a story that didn't the Undertaker say, like, they're up there on the cage and Foley goes, throw me off. Like, I'm not doing it. He's like, no, do it. Throw me off.
Yeah.
And they did it. And like, that was kind of the start of that whole thing.
And that was the best part about the call from JR too, because like that throw wasn't planned.
Yeah.
And so his reaction was like, and I have it transcribed. Good God Almighty, good God Almighty, that killed him. As God is my witness, he is broken in half. And it was just like, it's perfect. It really is. And
okay.
And it had all the tropes of going to the table and all.
Yeah, that is one that'll live on forever.
Had to be my
that's a good one.
Okay, so that's to me. So I get back-to-back picks here. So I'm going to start with tag team. Because I feel like there's more depth elsewhere, and who I'm
I know what you're going.
I mean, I'm going to go with the Road Warriors on this one. I mean, the great tag team of all time. God rest their souls. And I loved them growing up. I had a poster of theirs in my room.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had a shirt. I love those guys, even when they were back in like in the NWA, AWA days before they came over to WWE and became the Legion of Doom. And they had Paul Ellering as their manager. And I don't know what it was about those guys, but they just looked badass,
dude. Well, I think I don't know if you guys saw the Vice special on them, but they were both badass in real life as well as in the ring. Like I wouldn't mess with those guys.
No.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't mess with them at all. But even in a bar, and you hear these crazy stories on like they're in a bar or a strip club and they're fighting dudes, or they're putting Vince on his shoulder and doing the doomsday device. Like to me, that is just such a crazy visual. But seeing Hawk and seeing Animal walking down the aisle with those shoulder pads and that face paint, like it does, and kudos to like Demolition and all the guys that try to pretend
they were a ripoff.
Yeah, they were a total ripoff. But to your credit, yes, there was nobody that was more badass than the Legion of Doom.
And in bonus points, for me, is that Animal's son, James, played for the Rams.
Yeah,
So I got to pick them. So I'm going to open up with tag team. So now the board is.
I did witness them for Halloween one year.
Did you?
I believe. Yeah, there was like a string of I just went as different wrestlers throughout.
Look, if you were a wrestling fan in the late 80s, early 90s, and you ever went to a house show and Legion of Doom was on there, they sold the foam shoulder pads. You had to pick those up. You begged your mom and your dad, hey, you got to pick these up for me. And I have a little brother, and we would walk around the house with the tongue out and the very terrible face paint that we probably use our mom's lipstick. So everyone loved the Legion of Doom. That's a great pick.
100%.
That's a great an aside. If there were another draft, like the top tier souvenirs from like wrestling days, the shoulder pads are like 1-1 for sure.
I was I never forget how happy I was when I got the Hot Rod shirt.
Oh yeah,
yep. 6th grade maybe when I got. I was like, thought it was the greatest thing ever. All right, I am gonna go now. So it's this. We're gonna start round 2. So I'm gonna go match.
Okay,
and I'm gonna pick. This is from WrestleMania 17. This is the TLC 2 match. So that means tables, ladders, and chairs, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about. This is between, I think, 3 of the best tag teams ever, too. Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, and the Hardy Boys in what was part wrestling match, part demolition derby. And this is another one that has one of those iconic moments that you see over and over and over again. That's
the spear off the ladder, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. So that was the biggest spot, was Edge. Like Jeff Hardy's suspended in midair, I think, on the briefcase.
Yep.
And Edge comes off the ladder and spears him in midair. And then, there was just total carnage all over the ring. And that was one of those moments where I remember seeing that and being like, wrestling's never going to be the same after this. Like, it's just not I don't know how you top that.
Yeah.
That was such a good sweet spot as far as like the tag titles were concerned. And it's funny because right before, when we were still at CrossFit the first time, I remember there was a sequence where we were starting to like get back into like we felt like the vibe and the push behind wrestling because of our ties through CrossFit. I felt like, oh man, I'm getting that feeling again. I was watching highlights, and Marston Sawyers was a casual fan, but the one thing that caught his eye was the highlights from this match, and he saw the tables, ladders, and chairs match, and he could not believe his eyes. And so even to the non-wrestling fan, the casual fan, it was electrifying, and it caught their attention. It demanded their attention, and you couldn't believe what they were putting their bodies through.
Yeah, and when was it when the Hardy Boys came back, Josh? A couple of years ago at WrestleMania, they got that huge pop from the crowd. That was awesome.
I was there, and everyone speculated that they might be there, but no one thought that they would come out. And when they did, I mean, I've never heard so many people erupt, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that match especially, I remember watching it on pay-per-view and just being like, there is no way to top this. And every TLC or every Money in the Bank or any kind of ladder match since then tries to top it. And there are instances where they maybe equal it, but I don't think that particular setup of what you're talking about, that spot where Edge spears Jeff Hardy, I mean, it is so iconic that it is unforgettable,
And like, it's, you look at some of like the more daring attempts at finishers in various forms. That was one of the more cleaner ones in terms of its execution too.
Yes,
like the way Jeff Hardy lands and just the way it all kind of came together, and like the flow of the match leading up to it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. We are now. So now we're into round 2 because I just kicked it off. So now it's to Tommy with your second pick.
So I was going to draft something else here, but I'm going to go tag team because of something you just mentioned.
Ooh.
And it was the pop at WrestleMania 33 from the Hardy Boys.
All right.
And I was torn between a couple options here, but I'm going to go with the Hardy Boys because my middle school years, I definitely resonated a little bit more with like the punk rock, edgy kind of
shopping at Hot Topic.
Yeah, exactly. There was a part of the Hardy Boys that I particularly liked in terms of who they were paired with. We can't discuss picks, and I just remember that I was so like, even as a younger kid, I was always impressed by Jeff Hardy's willingness to put his body through the ringer. Like he was the guy getting speared. He was the guy doing the swanton off the ladder onto another ladder. He was the guy taking the big bumps, and he had that superstar potential too. But something about the way him and Matt played off each other, and it was crazy because I was always so frustrated that they never won the titles. And when they ended up beating Edge and Christian, it was by DQ, so they retained the titles. But I think that they were kind of like a little bit of the people's champ in some regards with that. And I think one of the reasons why you could see was that pop when they came back at WrestleMania, because you knew when they showed up, fireworks were going to happen every single time. There are other tag teams that had their thing, but I specifically remember, and I think I've told this story before, we used to have backyard wrestling matches at my buddy Ziad's house.
Who didn't?
I was about to say, who didn't have a backyard wrestling match?
And so, we had all the old mattresses in the back and garbage can lids and all this stuff. And I just remember one time before WrestleMania, we had a match and we were filming on my buddy's little camcorder. And my friend goes, all right, to finish this one off, I'm going to swanton off of the ladder onto you, and you're going to be on my grandma's car. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, all right, is this okay? And he goes, yeah, no, it's like, it's a BMW 7 Series. It's sturdy. It's German made.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm laying on the hood, and my buddy swantons off, knocks the wind out of me, puts a dent into the hood of his grandma's BMW, and his heels go through the front windshield.
Oh, what? Man.
Shatters the windshield. And we all like, run. And I'm running with like my keeled over. My buddy who did this one, who has to, account for all of this, is like, because he's keeled over too. Because I basically just knifed him through his back as he landed. God. And our other buddy lived down the street, and we get there, and all of a sudden his mom gets the phone call. They did what? Are you serious? Oh, okay. And just hang up. And she just walks in, and I've never seen she put the fear eyes. And I always remember my buddy be like, no, Jeff Hardy would do it. Jeff Hardy would do it. And so that's why he sold it.
I can't imagine all of the injuries with, Mankind being thrown off. I mean, that whole Attitude Era, I got in trouble for wearing, and I'm not joking when I say this, I got in trouble wearing a Mr. Sacco t-shirt to school. So I can't imagine all the other things that wasn't wearing a Mr. Sacco t-shirt, like putting your friend through the hood of a car or jumping off of your friend's roof, like Mankind did in Hell in a Cell or as Dude Love. Like I can't imagine the shenanigans and or broken bones that happened during the Attitude Era.
a lot, the generation of kids out there with all kinds of bumps and bruises from courtesy of the Attitude Era.
Oh my God!
It was still
not to mention the whole DX thing and just the general irreverence that came from it.
Exactly. All right. Well, Josh, we are now to you.
Okay.
You got back-to-back picks here. So you get one pick to end round 2 and then one pick to start round 3.
Okay. If we're going to talk about matches, I have a long, I mean, look, I have a list of matches that I could go on and on about, but I think I was going to say, okay, maybe it's the very first match that really kind of put me over as far as a wrestling fan, which was Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, SummerSlam 91. Ooh. But I couldn't pick that one. So I think the one that had the most successful finish for me, that was the long game, was Macho Man, Ric Flair, WrestleMania 8 in Indianapolis. And you have to understand the setup. So I will help set it up for those at home. First of all, Macho Man on TV just gets married to Miss Elizabeth, right? They're in Madison Square Garden. They have this big, fantastic wedding. And they go back for the wedding reception. Jake the Snake puts a cobra. That's right, a real life cobra.
Wasn't that on Saturday night's main event?
No, it was in the reception, the wedding reception. So they opened up.
Wasn't the wedding on Saturday night's main event?
No, the wedding was SummerSlam because it was SummerSlam
was something else. Yep. Okay.
Yes, SummerSlam is built as a match made in heaven, the wedding, and then a match made in hell, Warrior and Hogan versus Slaughter and General Adnan and Colonel Mustafa. But that's a whole other thing. So Jake the Snake gives Randy Savage a cobra. Then later on, Randy Savage is attacked with a real life cobra, which is another story in itself. So then eventually Macho Man gets his revenge on Jake the Snake. He finally gets to enjoy his marriage with Miss Elizabeth. But now along comes Ric Flair, who on TV tells everybody, hey, you know what, Randy, guess what? She was mine before she was yours, buddy. And would post these photos of Rick and Liz. They're by the pool. Elizabeth is feeding him strawberries. Randy Savage is getting crazy. He's like, what the heck? And then he's like, well, guess what? At WrestleMania, I'm going to unveil the big time centerfold. And you're like, as a kid, you're like, oh my God, Ric Flair and Elizabeth were together. Well, it turns out Ric Flair and Elizabeth weren't together. Those photos were doctored, ladies and gentlemen. They were doctored. So this grudge match wasn't just for the title. It was personal between these two. And there was a little bit of blood in the match. And is it the greatest Ric Flair Macho Man match? No. But for me as a kid, it kind of stole the show at WrestleMania 8. And not only that, the payoff was great because Macho Man became the world champion, and he still was able to validate Liz, be the hero. Like, hey, this wasn't Liz, Liz is mine. She was never Ric Flair's. And it was just kind of a cool way to end almost like a 6-month feud. Like they really drew it out. And that was kind of the fun in wrestling back in the day. Now they kind of compressed that maybe into a month or so, but it was that long burn of, Rick, you're going to get it. How dare you tarnish Elizabeth's name. That is that can't possibly happen.
You don't do that to Elizabeth.
Oh. Yeah, you don't do that to Elizabeth. But it was just such a great payoff. And not only that, as you were saying earlier, I didn't pick Seth, it probably would have been Macho Man, because Macho Man is my all-time favorite. A lot of people like Hogan, which that's fine. I mean, I think Hogan's trash. I'm a big Macho Man fan. So hence why I picked Macho Man and Macho Man and Ric Flair, WrestleMania 8. It was just so personal as a young kid watching that, being like, oh, this guy's beating the shit out of this guy because he claimed that Elizabeth was his. And that was not the case. This guy's a big liar.
Yeah.
How dare he?
Man, yeah. I felt like I got a really good lesson on that one. I forgot all about that match. I remember, wasn't that cobra, like, didn't it bite? Was that the same one where it bit Randy, but it was defanged?
It was defanged. So the story goes, allegedly, and again, I'm no wrestling historian, but the story allegedly goes, the snake was defanged. Jake the Snake's back in the locker room, and Randy, who's kind of paranoid from what I hear, goes, "Hey brother, you gonna let that snake bite you? Like, how do I know that snake's not, devenomized?" And Jake's like, "Hey man, like it is." He's like, "Oh, let's see it bite you first. So Jake takes the snake and puts it on his arm, and Randy watches. He's like, "Okay, brother. All right. That looks good. Okay, we're good." And that's how he agreed to do it. He agreed to do it because he was afraid that Jake was trying to pull a one over on him. Now, again, that's allegedly. I don't know that to be fact, but that's what I hear.
Regardless, that was a fantastic Macho Man impression.
Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah.
Okay, so now you get to kick off round 3. We're going to kick off round 3. We'll finish this
round 3.
Podium.
with my favorite manager of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Also, my favorite announcer of all time. And that is the one and only Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that was coming.
And again, a lot of wrestling fans now probably don't know the match that I just said or the manager that I'm speaking of. But Bobby Heenan was the best. He was the best, hands down, best manager, best announcer, best host when they had primetime wrestling, best host when they had Monday Night Raw with him as an announcer. I mean, he was, even when he went to WCW, I was not a big WCW fan, but I loved listening to Heenan. He was just the best. He was the weasel, right? And one would argue like Jimmy Hart's a great manager. No disrespect to Jimmy Hart, Mr. Fuji, all the all-time greats as far as heel managers go. But man, Bobby Heenan was the worst. I remember when they stole Matilda, right? Matilda from the British Bulldogs.
Yeah.
He claimed like, oh my God, that dog has rabies and it's got to get put down. And you're like, holy, back then they could obviously get away with that stuff, but you're like, oh my God. And then they kidnapped it, poor Matilda from the British Bulldogs. I mean, he was just so ruthless. Like and he played such a great part in the match that I just spoke of with Ric Flair, like because he was the commentator. So he would, throughout the course of that feud, you got to pick up the brand new WWE magazine and check out these photos with Rick and Liz. Like he would just put them over to where the point you're like, oh, this guy is just, he's got to get his upcoming, his what's coming, and Heenan was the best. So that is my pick for manager.
I love Bobby Heenan. He was like, and I think that's one of those things that when I was a kid, I hated him.
Yep.
Because he was like the bad guy. You hated Bobby Heenan. And I remember when, like, one of the most devastating days of my life. Remember when Paul Orndorff turned on Hulk Hogan? Remember that? And then get back in the locker room, Heenan celebrating with everybody. Like that was just traumatic to me. But then looking back on now that I'm older, that guy was fantastic. Like I miss Bobby Heenan.
And to me, the Heenan family had such great wrestlers. You had Rick Rude, you had Paul Orndorff, you had Andre, he had Haku, the Islanders, Mr. Perfect, Ric Flair. I mean, he managed the best of the best. So yeah. And again, obviously they were all heels, they're all bad guys, but which I guess makes me feel like, oh, well, what kind of wrestling fan am I? When you're like, I hated him as a kid. I was like, well, I actually loved him as a kid. So what kind of person am I if I'm liking all the bad guys? I was young and idealistic. You said your prayers and ate your vitamins.
Exactly. I had the Hulkamania red shirt, man. I was with the good guys. All right, you're up, Tommy. This is your third pick now.
Oh man, this is tough.
I'm probably taking whoever you don't here. So
so I have, all right, I got my match. I got my tag team. Still need a manager, male, female, and a finisher. This is tough. I want to go finisher here.
All right.
And I'm having a hard time on selecting one.
A lot of depth in this category.
There is. I'm a showman, Sean.
Okay.
And while there's another one that I really liked because of its ability to be performed on a grade school playground.
To be fair, they're all able to be performed at a place.
There was one I was going to bring up just for the story, but there was another one for me that I think, and you're going to hate this pick. Maybe you're going to hate this pick.
I don't hate. Why do I hate it?
Just because we've talked about it before. There's only one finisher that's the most electrifying move in sports entertainment.
It's a great pick.
And it's the people's elbow. And I'm going to take the people's elbow because on a surface level, it is just the most ridiculous thing, commonplace move that somehow has been dressed up and talked up and built up and showed up to the point of having this effect beyond like what it would normally have. And to me, and Josh, you might have some insight. I feel like the mystique and the looming threat of the finisher for me is faded a little bit because it seems like the kick out rate off of finishers is higher nowadays. It's not like if they hit it once, it's over, like game, And I don't know why the Rock he already had the rock bottom, but to add the elbow pad thrown off to the crowd, you make a souvenir of it. You kick one arm in, you kick the other arm in. You dance around the ring back and forth a few times, and you hit him with a knifing elbow straight to the heart. And it was to me, it was so ridiculous, and I loved it. And I loved the fact that here was the person on the receiving end of the people's elbow to be there laying, and then suddenly sell this like thing to the heart, and then sometimes not kick out.
Yeah,
it was amazing. And the people's elbow. Anytime you put the people's champ, it just adds this like certain thing to it, and I think it very much encapsulates the performer that The Rock was.
I would agree 100%. I'd say it was so fun, like just to see the people elbow. Like everyone was like, "Just shut up and watch this. This is amazing." It's like, wait, that's all he just drops an elbow? Yeah, but it's everything you said, the leading up to it, that is the fun part.
And you can throw it, in the living room. Just like Josh said, you can throw anything in your living room. But that's that's one where you really get to explore the space a little bit. And
well, I think that goes, to what I say all the time when it comes to CrossFit athletes, right? In the sense that I expect someone to throw the people's elbow in the middle of a CrossFit competition? No. But what I'm saying is you take a very silly movement like an elbow drop, as long as you have some sort of personality behind it. And of course, Rock was just, exuding personality, at that particular time. You can get away with stuff like that. And if you're able to show just a tiny bit of personality or a little bit of charisma, right? Or a little bit of confidence, that move only works with The Rock. You give that move to somebody else, it doesn't work as well,
Yeah, no, for sure. That's 100% correct. Okay, so I'll close out round 3, and then we'll do our Whoop podium.
Yep.
And then we'll get started on round 4.
Cool.
So I got back-to-back picks. And Tommy's pick was a great segue into my pick, because I'm going to pick my male superstar, and I am going to go with the people's champion, the Brahma Bull, The Rock. Because the thing about him is, I remember during the Attitude Era, I was working in Tallahassee, Florida at 98, 99, when that was like the big thing. Like it was at its height. And there were guys that I worked with, like the other dude in the sports department there didn't like wrestling. It wasn't a wrestling, didn't get it. But when Monday Night Raw was on, we would dial it up in the sports department, and everyone would just hang out until The Rock came out and talked, and then people would just disperse. No one cared about the wrestling. It was just about watching him cut a promo, and he had so many great ones. He took like Ric Flair's ability with the mic, amped it up a little bit, and then also matched that with an incredible in-ring ability as well and showmanship. And and it's a testament to the kind of star that he's become now with the Hollywood movies and how big of just a mega star that he is. But he was, to the point where, like, I remember these guys that I worked out with at Gold's Gym back in the day, back in Tallahassee. You'd see each other in gym. You're like, "Hey man, what's going on?" He's like, "Hey man, what's up?" Like, it doesn't matter what's up. We try to like get each other on that all the time. And just like the promo he cut with, I'll never forget when Chris Jericho first showed up in the WWE. He just come from WCW. He's like, "You think you impressed The Rock? Why? Because a couple of months ago you were down south beating some jabroni named Juventud." It's so good. Like he ruined people. Like, remember the Billy Gunn one? He's like, "Oh dear Lord, my name's Billy." And God said, "Bob, it doesn't matter what your name." Like, it was just, it took promo cutting to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And he was just captivating. Like, you just could not take your eyes off the guy. And he's there haven't been many like him, and I don't know if there are going to be many like him in the future. He
might be the most liked person on planet Earth.
I would
right
agree
now.
with that. Yeah.
Well, to this is gonna be funny. Yes, I will agree. However, I do have a bone to pick with old Dwayne, DJ, if you will. Well, first of all, wrestling, great. Acting is debatable, but sure. There's some movies that I enjoy.
Action hero.
Yeah. But I will say this: if anybody's listening, or if DJ just happens to be listening, I want to see the tape. I want you to release the tape. Now, you're probably asking yourself, Tommy, Sean, Josh, what are you talking about? Release the tape. I think it's 2, maybe 3 years ago. Old Dwayne, DJ, was on the Instagram and it was like, "Hey, everybody. Oh, I just got done working out with John Krasinski. Just did a workout called Murph. It's a mile run. 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and then another mile run. I'm sweating, you guys should do it. And that's what the Rock, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, you know what? I've done Murph before. I just got done talking to Colby and Cesaro. They just got done doing Murph, and they didn't look like the way that Dwayne or DJ just did Murph. So I maybe think maybe what he preaches on his show, which is, living the gimmick. I'm like, is he living the gimmick? Did he actually do Murph? I want to see the tape. Dwayne, show me the tape of you doing the Murph. Dwayne.
Josh is calling out The Rock on this show.
Putting some heat on it.
This is great.
Oh,
First, I have Josh on more often.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this much, guys. I don't have the link, and maybe I'll send it to you at some point, but this isn't the first time I've shown up The Rock. Me and my friend Matt Lake, we worked on a movie that The Rock was on called The Rundown, and I'm the big wrestling fan, obviously. So when I work on these movie sets, I'm like, hey, I'm the big wrestling nerd. So on this movie set, Rock's doing an interview with MTV, I believe it is. And I go, hey, Matt, get in the background, and I'm going to hit you in the back with a steel chair. And so Matt's in the background, and we're on this, what's supposed to be some plantation in Brazil, but it was like in the valley somewhere. And there's these cows walking by, and I hit my friend Matt with a steel chair, and I'm beating him with this chair, and then we run off. We interrupt his interview. I think it's called like First PA Fight. You have to look it up. It's great. First PA Fight on YouTube. Well, we're the dummies. Matt fell into some like cow pie or cow shit. And so The Rock had some fun with that. But I can say that I upstaged The Rock, or me and my friend Matt Lake upstaged The Rock for a brief moment. So do I have a bone to pick with The Rock? No, I think he's a great wrestler. And to your credit, Sean, when you brought up, he is an amazing talker. But I also want to see the Murph video. And I can also say that I could also say that I upstaged The Rock. But
I want to see. I'm trying to find this video
too. All right. Well, what we got to do now is we're going to take a break. We're going to get to our Whoop podium, and we're going to do recovery for the week, because we think some of our group may be coming off a very busy weekend of quarterfinals workouts. Included. So we want to see who recovered the best. Are you still searching the old internet there?
I'm pulling it up. I got it. Hold on.
Okay. So we're going to go recovery for this past week.
All right. So let's see, the top recoverers for our Whoop group from Talking Elite Fitness for, Friday, April 16th. Let's see. Is it for the day or the month?
Let's do the week.
The week. All right. So number one, Christina Quintero.
Woo, Christina!
97% for the week. Number two, Annie Barthel, 93%. Number three, Nate Gordon, 90%. Joy Evans, 88%. Blake Warren, 88%. Brendan Ziegler, 88%. Kimberly Reed, 87%. Kim Cruz, 87%. Rachel Zielinski, 87%. And Brandon Bowie, 87%. Top 10, you had to be 87% or higher for the week on average. Josh definitely is not making that one. But
look, not this week. No, give me once Falcon and Winter Soldier's over, maybe I'll be able to sleep some.
Fair enough. Nice job by everyone who clearly took their recovery seriously and weren't staying up to midnight to see Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys were doing the right things. I was doing the wrong things.
Okay, let's kick off round 4. Josh he just texted us the link. He just texted me the link. Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm going to, oh man. Okay. I'm going to ping this to Tommy.
And I'm not trying to make this about me, but I would like people to know why usually when I have reasons of getting all heated, all blown up, there's usually a pretty good reason. And I think that as a ambassador, so to speak, of the CrossFit community, and I know myself knowing how hard the Murph workout is every Memorial Day, which by the way, coming right up, I think it's only fair that if you're going to claim that you did such a workout, that you show the video,
I would agree 100% with that. So
yeah.
Wow. All right. We're learning great stuff on here. Okay. So now this is round 4. So I'm going back-to-back superstars here. I'm going to go female superstar, and I'm going to go with someone who is basically my age. So,
okay.
I think kicked off the one thing I think where WWE got wrong, and I think they have corrected that, is during the Attitude Era, female wrestling wasn't taken nearly as seriously as the male superstars. I think they have changed that to their credit. I think they have really elevated their female superstars to more than just, a sideshow, to put it lightly. And I think that Trish Stratus was the first person to sort of bridge that gap between appearance and ability. Because, you know, when I was growing up, women's wrestling was not, you know, they didn't have their athletes didn't have the same appearance or the same feel as the male wrestlers. Mm-hmm. They were good, but they didn't have the same look. Attitude Era comes along, and then I think maybe it was more about look than it was ability. And I think she had both. And then I think that's been carried on by, you know, some of the superstars we see nowadays. You know, Becky Lynch is one who has both. Great wrestler. And I think is probably known more, and Josh, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, is known more for her ability, really. And that was not the case a few years back. And I think that's one thing that WWE got wrong. And I love the fact that they have corrected that now. You know, the belts all look the same, which I think is good. It's not the Divas Championship anymore. It's the Women's Championship. But I think Trish Stratus was sort of the first step in getting to where we are now. And I think that, she brought together both worlds and was, you know, wildly popular. And I'm going to pick her from the Attitude Era, but I think she laid the groundwork for a lot of what's going on today.
Agree. That's awesome. You know, it's funny. I think this is going to be a draft that goes in a series of runs. Cause like, I'm kind of stuck in the middle, and each time you or Josh pick something, it like kickstarts where I want to go for that next one. And I mentioned her earlier, and I'm going to take my female superstar here. And it was, she got to work with the Hardy Boys. And
I did not know Tommy was Team Extreme.
I was Team Extreme. And this four-time WWE Women's Champion. If you go back and look up her path, she started her career down in Mexico. Like this is clearly something that she wanted to do and was passionate about, going in through like the Lucha Libre route, then into ECW, joining WWE, WWF, now WWE. She also has her own punk rock band, the Luchagors. So that just resonated with the 13-year-old, 14-year-old, you know, trying to be a little anti, you know, Tommy, getting my ears pierced. Well, I had my ears pierced since I was 9, but you know, nonetheless, I was a big fan of Lita, and I felt like she fit in nicely with the Hardy Boys, and they all just kind of carried this kind of extreme environment and willingness to put themselves into the mix and really kind of rough things up in the ring. So I liked when she got to break out and, you know, go individual. Her initial debut was something that probably isn't reflected upon great, which I think speaks to your improvement of the women's division. But yeah, and who didn't want to rock a pair of those baggy Jinko jeans that they made so popular?
I remember those things, man.
Much less be able to wrestle in those. It was incredibly.
You could carry all your stuff in one pair of pants, like all the pockets those things had on them, like everything you could put in there.
And she had an awesome feud with Trish Stratus back in the day. Yep. And Lita was one of the ones that stood out right away. And to me, I also felt like maybe they didn't push her. I feel like her push was also one of those results of like Trish being like the talented inside the ring. I think because of her like anti-establishment image, it was a little bit easier to push down that avenue. So a big fan, and to this day is one of the ones that always stands out. And she's California native. So
okay, yep. All right, I like that pick. And you stole it because I was going to try to double dip with her on my manager one. So, which I guess I could still do because you didn't take it, but now she's off the board, so I won't do that. All right. Okay, so now Josh is up with back-to-back picks here.
All right. Well, so if we're gonna stay with the ladies, I'm gonna go with my pick. And again, for those of you probably that know anything about me, you're like, oh, well, that's insanely obvious. I'm picking the one and only Becky Lynch. And you're probably saying, well, Josh, she is your business partner's fiance. Of course, you're gonna pick that. But I have a very valid argument with Becky Lynch. Okay, first of all, Trish Stratus, yes, Hall of Famer, done amazing things for the women's division. I'm not discrediting that. Same with Lita, right? Big Lita fan growing up. Obviously loved the tattoos, loved her athletic ability, being able to do the flips, the Huracan Lita or Rada, if you will. I also like that she was in a punk rock band. But again, another bona fide Hall of Famer. But I think when you look at women's wrestling in the 90s to now, the one, in my opinion, that really changed the game, the one that kind of put it on the map is Becky Lynch. And I will explain to you why. Growing up, in Ireland, Becky wanted to be a wrestler. And I think it's also, it comes to her story. I'm giving you a little bit back. I wanted to become a wrestler, trained to be a wrestler, found out maybe this isn't for me. Went and did. She was a flight attendant, so kind of gave it up. She came back in. She was signed by the WWE. Of course, they give her some silly Irish gimmick where she's doing some, river dancing. And, if you YouTube it, you're like, well, this is silly. This is never going to get over. Nobody's going to like this. And eventually she kind of evolves her character and she becomes the Becky Lynch kind of steampunk. But right when she gets drafted, or not drafted, but upgraded, I guess, if you will, to the main roster, it's her, Charlotte, and Sasha Banks. And they kind of, I wouldn't say co-main event, but they were a big headliner of this WrestleMania in Dallas. So WrestleMania in Dallas was headlined by Roman and Triple H, but everyone talks about the match between Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks. And I think Charlotte eventually wins. But they put on a tremendous match for it being a big time women's match. And like what Sean was mentioning earlier, they took the Divas Championship and they turned it into the WWE Women's Championship. And there was a brief moment in time where Becky is putting on these great matches, but nobody's really noticing her. She kind of gets lost in the shuffle. And there was a moment in time where, she was going to kind of fall off the map. She becomes the SmackDown Women's Champion. But again, she doesn't really connect to the audience. It's only when she starts to create this persona that she's like this badass. A lot of people are like, oh, she's like the male Stone Cold Steve Austin. But I didn't even think of that. I just think it was just her attitude amplified. And if you look at all the great wrestling characters in history, it's usually their attitude just amplified to 11, right? The current Seth Rollins that you see now, where he's really cocky and he laughs a lot and he talks about how good he really is. To me, that's Colby Lopez amplified to 11. Right? Same thing with Stone Cold Steve Austin or Dwayne, DJ, The Rock. That's him amplified by 11. Well, that's what you got when you got the man Becky Lynch. And when she got punched in the face and that iconic scene where the blood's dripping and she's laughing and she's like, come on, bring it. That's what set her through, the stratosphere. No pun intended, or maybe pun intended, but you get it. Ooh, yeah. And, she went from, hey, she was going to fight Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series all the way to being the first female, or one of three first female wrestlers to main event a WrestleMania, and not to win one, but to win 2 championships. So coming from, I'm going to be a wrestler too, I don't want to be a wrestler anymore, to, okay, I'm going to give it another try. Oh, you kind of gave me a crappy gimmick. I'm going to work hard and prove myself. Oh, they gave me the belt. Now they took it away. Now I'm in the Andre the Giant, or not the Andre the Giant, the Mae Young or whatever Memorial Battle Royal. She went from opening WrestleMania to on the pre-show to the next year being the main event at WrestleMania. Not to steal somebody's gimmick, but hard work paid off for Becky Lynch, because she showed everybody like, hey, look, I'm going to prove to these people that not only am I the best, but I'm so good that you can't deny me main eventing a WrestleMania. And I think that that's, at least in this day and age, where now you got people like Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks and all these other great athletic women wrestlers. They're able to do that because of the road that is paved. Now, there are some great wrestlers like Charlotte and all that good stuff, but I really truly believe when you talk about talking, athleticism, and overall character, no one is going to top Becky Lynch.
Yeah, maybe where Trish was the beginning, I think Becky is sort of the end of that transition.
She,
you know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, this is now fully taking place. And yeah, she's awesome. Like a great wrestler, great, all around just awesome talent. No argument with that pick whatsoever, Josh.
Okay.
Now you get to kick off round 5.
So, you guys have been doing a lot of Attitude Era, which is great. That's that's the era that I enjoyed the most in high school. And I haven't had a lot of Attitude Era-esque moments, but I will say the finisher of all finishers, I believe that a finisher is something that could be done to anyone. So I remember Goldberg telling me the story, being like, you gotta, if I'm going to do the jackhammer, I got to be able to do it to everybody. And he was able to do it to everybody because he was able to do it to the Giant. But there are a lot of people that, like Razor Ramon can't do the Razor's Edge to the Giant. He can't do it to Yokozuna. But there is a wrestler that had a finisher. They could pretty much do it to anybody. Anybody, let's just say, like the former president of the United States, like his boss, like the boss's kid, like the commissioner, like, the list goes on and on. I'm talking about the one and only Stone Cold Stunner.
Yes.
That is
you can't
number one finisher. Yeah.
First ballot Hall of Famer right there, Josh. Great pick.
Yeah. It is such a satisfying and fun movement. There are variations like the Diamond Cutter, like the RKO, like Kevin Owens' version of the Stunner, but nothing beats the Stone Cold Stunner. And going back to my plight with Dwayne, I will say he took the stunner the best.
Oh, you sold it. Yeah, he sold it.
He sold it the best.
If you can
show me the video where you sell Murph as good as you sell the stunner, and I will shut my mouth. But
I love it.
Yeah, but no, I'm serious. Like the Stone Cold Stunner, whether it be Vince McMahon, whether it be Chris Jericho, whether it be the Undertaker, whether it be I think he did it to Yokozuna. I mean, you could literally do it to anybody. He did it to poor Linda McMahon. He did it to Vince McMahon. He did it to all the McMahons. I think there was even a photo when Trump was in office. It was like Triple H and Linda and Shane, and it was like 63% of the people in this photo were Stone Cold Stunned. I mean, that just shows you how effective that move was.
It's like COVID. It's like the COVID finishers. Everyone's
having. Oh my God. All right. That's phenomenal. I love that one. Like you said, Rock really just knew how to sell it. My other favorite one, I liked how Shane O'Mac did it. I thought he sold it well. The one with the beer when he got. And you know what I think what separates it from all those other ones, the other variations, is just the simplest little nuance of the front kick to start it. You know, it primes everybody for it. You know, because you can not only in that setup, it can get countered, then it can get teased, and then it finally hits, and it's just that little subtlety to it that just really puts it over the top.
Okay, well, Tommy, you are now up with your fifth pick.
Fifth pick. Oof. Okay, so I need a male superstar and I need a manager. I think I'm going to get the other one, be able to get the other one. I don't know.
Strategy now.
Yeah, this is.
Play.
I don't think Sean's going to take my individual match. So I'm going to go with my manager.
Okay.
He's had a few different names in his life, depending on who you talk to. He was born William Alvin Moody.
Oh, I love where this is going.
As Percival Percy Pringle III. And my generation knows him only as Paul Bearer.
Yes, that's a great pick.
And I think something about that first, the introduction. He kind of ushered in the introduction of two superstars, Kane and Undertaker, that had angles that I don't think you can't play those now, you know, and you had to kind of suspend a little bit of disbelief. I remember thinking to myself one time, is the Undertaker really dead? Yeah. And I'm like, that guy's got an urn and he talks in such a high voice. He's so pale. I think they both might be dead. And that was just, I think it was like quintessential, like early 90s WWE, but just being able to get away with that kind of stuff. And the urn is one of the best props ever because, you know, he even played into it, the power of the urn and, you know, speaking with it as he like brought it into frame during his promos. And because Kane and Undertaker were both not speaking characters in the beginning, that really put a reliance on Paul Bearer to be able to kind of sell the mystique of all of that. And and he was also like, I think a good manager sometimes just, you like to see them get their comeuppance because they are, you know, in that Looney Tunes, in the Looney Tunes trope, they're the small yappy dog alongside the big bulldog. And you want to see them get their comeuppance every once in a while. And it was always so gratifying when Paul Bearer got his every once in a while. My buddy used to call him the buffet buster back in the day. Cause you know, he was pretty large, but I don't know why he was always the guy that like, I couldn't take my eyes off of when him and the Undertaker came in, and it was definitely part of that shtick. So
I think what made Paul Bearer so likable is because he believed in that character so much because he was a mortician. Like, I don't know if you guys know that. Like, before, he was a mortician. Growing up, he wanted to be a mortician. He was the Undertaker. And so when Brother Love, because he was the original manager of the Undertaker, he was like, I can't do this character for, you know, on the road. You need a veteran. We got this guy who was a mortician. And to bring it back to you, Sean, look at the wrestling nerd waving. The guy that came up with the name Paul Bearer, from what I understand, is Road Warrior Hawk. He was like, what are they going to call you, Paul Bearer? And they thought that was great.
That's awesome.
And so Hawk pretty much named Paul Bearer, but I think the reason why Paul Bearer was so good at that is because he was an actual mortician.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, look, like what you were saying, Tommy, about being afraid of the Undertaker. I mean, yes, he is a scary individual, but having Paul Bearer walking down the aisle with that urn, it just made it even more creepier, Yeah. And when he held that urn up, the Undertaker's down, or Hogan's got him down for the count, and he held the urn up and he sat up. As a kid, you're like, holy shit, this guy can't be dead.
Turn on all the lights in the house.
Yeah.
I remember his first match. I was in high school when he came out. It was a Survivor Series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He had his first match, and we were all like, "Who is this dude? Like, this is unbelievable. This guy's a monster." That's a great. Okay, Paul Bear's. I was actually thinking about taking him, but all right. So now it's to me. I get to close this out. I get to do 5 and 6.
Yep.
So I'm going to go. I need time to think about my manager because I'm torn between two people. So I'm going to do my finisher first. And Josh actually mentioned this, and I thought he was going to pick it. And I was like, oh, no. But I'm going to go with Goldberg's Jackhammer. That was, you want to talk about just anticipation. Like in the heyday of WCW, when he was on that streak, and he would get those guys up there, like everybody was on their feet. And then he would hit that jackhammer. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen, because I had never seen that move done anywhere else ever before, ever. And his, it was perfect for his character.
Yep.
Because it was just fast, powerful, and devastating.
Oh, pure power.
And that's exactly what what he was. And it was one of those moments you just could not wait to see it. Like the spear and then into the jackhammer. It was, and then the crazed bald guy just I don't want to say roid raging, but it just losing his mind and getting people fired up, and just the way he would enter the ring, it was all perfect. And then unfortunately, WCW, I don't think knew what to do with it.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that they did.
Yeah.
But that finishing move was just awesome. I love me a good power slam.
Yeah.
And that was power slam dialed up to 25. It didn't go to 11. It went way beyond that.
It's the equivalent of the Gronk spike of finishing moves.
Yes.
It's just I feel like he's just putting him a foot deep into the ring every time.
It was so well pulled off, man.
And like I said before, I've worked with Goldberg, and he told me his psychology behind that move is I have to be able to. I mean, he's such a perfectionist. I know a lot of people kind of give him shit because he used to be a football player and he liked MMA, and he's not a real wrestler, but he really does care, despite what a lot of people think. And not only that, he was he believed in his character so much so he's if I can't do this move on everybody, I'm not going to do it. And so when the Giant, i.e. Paul White, i.e. Big Show, was in WCW, he did it to that guy, and you're watching that on TV. I wasn't the biggest WCW fan, but I was extremely impressed that Goldberg was able to pick that guy up and slam him to the ground the way he did.
Yeah. I love that move, man. It was awesome. It was So I had to pick it.
And there was a point where I felt early 2000s where you're looking for something new as far as a finisher, right?
Mm-hmm. I remember when the DDT was the and a pile driver. Wow.
Yeah. And I felt like there was maybe going to be a saturation point in terms of creativity with some of the finishers. And obviously that wasn't the case, but I remember seeing that one and being whoa, that's new.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that one. And then you try to do it to your buddy, almost paralyze him.
Not as easy.
Yep.
Not as easy.
Thankfully, my younger brother, 9 years younger than me, knew how to take a jackhammer.
That is little brother duty number one right there, is understanding how to properly sell finishing moves and take them as well.
I have a great story real quick. On the set of The Longest Yard, somebody asked him hey, can you show me how to do a jackhammer? So he was like, yeah, Josh, come over here. So I was the guy that he jackhammered to show these people how he did his move. Because there's a scene in The Longest Yard where I think they're starting to learn how to be a team, and Adam Sandler's a 3, 2, 1 hut, and then they all start fighting each other. And Goldberg wanted to do the jackhammer, so he had to show these producers what the jackhammer was. They didn't end up using it for the film, but I was the dumb me that they used to show them what the jackhammer was. So I could say that I've taken the Goldberg jackhammer.
Damn.
It is not fun.
Oh, right.
So you should at least get like a shirt, you know. Like
I feel like I've been jackhammered.
They give you that, like, I don't know, Senior Frogs. It's like, I've been jackhammered.
Okay, so that leads me to now I got to kick off the end here of round 6, or the beginning of round 6, and I need a manager, and I'm torn between two people. I feel if I take one, I'm going to go too heavy on one side of things. So you know what? Here's what I'm going to take. I'm taking a little bit of a risk here. I'm going to take. So Josh mentioned, was it? Oh yeah, the urn and how that that was the object. The manager that I'm taking goes back. I think he was around in the 80s. He was in the old NWA. He was in WCW, and I think he was in the WWE as well. So he made his rounds, and now he's a regular on that Vice show, Dark Side of the Ring, and that is Jim Cornette. Because he had that tennis racket, and that was like the tennis racket was always coming into the rings at opportune times for the his various tag teams to use that, and then hide it from the referee. He was really great on the mic. He was very weaselly in the sort of Bobby the Brain Heenan type of mold. And you loved seeing him get his comeuppance. He was a guy and he sold that really well. He's like this guy that was always, antagonizing. And then he would get stuck in the ring with whoever he was, the object of his antagonization. And he'd, be backing off and weaseling away. But he hit that tennis racket that he had. And I think he was the Rock and Roll Express. Wasn't he their manager?
Rock and Roll Express. He also, I think, did the Midnight Express, or maybe that's what I'm thinking of. When he came to WWE, he managed Yokozuna and Owen Hart at the time. Also, the Heavenly Bodies, which were just they weren't heavenly, and they definitely didn't have body. But he was like I want to say owner of something called Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and they worked with WWE for a little bit. So I'm not the world's biggest Jim Cornette fan. I respect your pick, but he was very weaselly.
Yeah, I just thought he played that role perfectly. And then again, the tennis racket that was always coming into the ring. It was always like a difference maker in some big matches. So I was torn between him or Paul Ellering, but Paul Ellering was so much Road Warriors. I didn't want to go Road Warrior heavy, but I love Paul Ellering because he was just all business.
I'm surprised you didn't go Jimmy Hart. I'll be honest.
I couldn't stand Jimmy Hart.
That makes him such a good manager.
Yeah, but I don't want to pick him because I like Jim Cornette. I think he was a little bit more old school, and he was like Jimmy Hart light, but Jimmy Hart was so over the top I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby, let's go, baby.
Plus, he looked Jimmy Hart looked just like a barber I used to have. Like same hair the whole way. It was like crazy. Yeah. Tells you about how my hair was done when I was growing up. All right. So I'm done. That was my last pick, my manager. So now we're back to Tommy here.
It's my last one, and it is my male superstar. And I'm glad, you know what? I feel like I'm getting great value
you
here
are. You
in the 6th round. Yep. I've had a couple options. One, man, everyone else has their male super. Do you have your? Yeah. Everyone else?
Yeah.
So I can talk about the other males. I was leaning Ultimate Warrior.
That would have been good
for a little while. I loved his style. I loved the physicality of him. I loved his cryptic promos. I had a wrestling buddy, those little like stuffed wrestling buddies. I had one of the Ultimate Warrior growing up. I thought about Macho Man. I wasn't quite sure. But ultimately in the 6th round, I feel like I got to choose the only guy that last year spent more money on spilt liquor and bars from one side of this world to the other than me or Sean made. And I'm talking about the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss wheeling, dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun. And I gotta say, Sean, right now I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. That's Ric Flair.
Wait, Noble makes alligator shoes?
Vans does actually.
Oh, okay.
How can Ric Flair? I think like without Ric Flair, there's no Rock.
Mm-hmm.
That he was and you could still make the argument, maybe one of the best on the mic of all time. And like I said, you can make an argument maybe better than the Rock. Not sure I believe it, but you could make an argument.
It's interesting because I think it kind of goes back to the kind of debate of like all-time best versus the person that set the foundation for the best, right? Like the Rock had people like Ric Flair to build off of it and use as inspiration. It's like, okay, well, where did Ric Flair draw the inspiration with? I mean, his look was, I mean, the white hair,
the nature boy.
Oh my gosh.
The thing is a lot of these guys, I'm not saying they steal each other's gimmicks, but like you were just about to say, Tommy, they take stuff from other people. So back in like the early 30s, 40s, there's a guy by the name of Gorgeous George. Same thing, from Hollywood, tan, blonde hair, pissed people off because he would spray the corners with perfume. He would have a butler come into the ring, and then you move on, and then you got somebody like Classy Freddie Blassie. He was from Hollywood, same thing, tan skin, bleach blonde hair, but he was a heel. He would always cheat to win. And then you got a guy like Ric Flair with that amazing promo where he, you know, when he started wrestling, not a great character, right? How is he going to set himself from everybody else? Oh, you know what's fancy? Rolexes. You know what's great? Limousines. You know what's great? Having girls over, you know, like and the great thing about a lot of wrestlers back in the day, they lived their gimmicks, so to speak. So when you would go out to a bar after a wrestling match, you would see Ric Flair at the bar, buying everybody shots, showing everybody his Rolexes, wearing the alligator shoes. So that's what makes such a great character. And again, with Ric Flair, to your credit and to the credit to your pick, so many amazing matches, like the one with Macho Man Randy Savage, like the ones with Sting, like the ones with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, even the ones with Triple H, even his last match.
Didn't he Royal Rumble go like the whole thing?
Yeah. That's the one where he won. You know, he came into WWE and he won the championship by winning the Royal Rumble. You know, even his last match with Shawn Michaels. You know, that's
I was there.
No one's having a terrible match with Ric Flair.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good pick.
And it's always tough to look at like accolades, right? But like, you know, winning the Triple Crown in both WCW and WWE, the number of world championship reigns varies from, you know, anywhere from like 16 to 25. But just that level of like Josh said, that level of success over a long period of time, even more so now, like also because his influence is still felt in the WWE today, obviously with Charlotte and he still finds a way to pop up from time to time.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that I feel like is never going to die. Like you're just like, Ric Flair's going to be 100 and he's going to find a way to
taking stunners.
I mean, one of my favorite he took a bump off a ladder. I can't remember who it was from when he was like, I think he was well into his 60s.
Yeah, I think he was in a ladder match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And I remember because I showed that to Marston. I was like, really? You think a 60-year-old can do this? And he and he's just like, oh my ass. He's like selling the hell out of it. Marston's like, holy shit, that's impressive. Like I like gauging like what the untrained eye like finds impressive. And like I think that's a testament to what he was able to do.
All right, Josh, you're up. Your final pick. You need a tag team.
I wish I would have ended with the stunner, but I was afraid that you guys would have taken a tag team. And then I realized that, oh shit, you guys, or sorry, I was afraid you guys were going to take my finisher. So I had to say it, but my tag team, I was really torn on this one because there's so many great tag teams. Obviously the Road Warriors that we mentioned, obviously the Hardy Boys. I was going to go maybe Dudley Boys. Dudley Boys were great.
Good one.
But I have 3 tag teams that I had to pick from this, and they all have somewhat of one of my favorite wrestlers in each of them. So we have the Rockers with Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
Oh yeah,
right. That I wanted to pick them. I'm a huge HBK fan. They were so great as a tag team. Then we have the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Big Bret Hart fan growing up. Again, these are the guys that I wanted to look like when Shawn Michaels was a singles wrestler and Bret Hart was a singles wrestler. I'm like, oh, these are the guys I want to look like, not Hogan, not the Warrior. Those guys are too gigantic. They're too, monstrous. But my tag team that I'm picking is the British Bulldogs. Davey Boy Smith.
Love the British Bulldogs.
Dynamite Kid. And of course, the one and only Matilda. I even loved him so much that I get my first Bulldog, which is right here. Matilda was named after. They were an amazing tag team. You have Davey Boy, who was the powerhouse, and Dynamite Kid, who was the technician. But let's not forget, Davey Boy was also a technician. So they were just an amazing tag team to watch. They would come down with Matilda. Matilda would get into some sort of shenanigans as well. But just an amazing tag team to watch. And those tag team matches with, the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs, like I could watch over and over again.
Was it WrestleMania 2 that was in 3 different cities, right? Like Chicago, New York, and LA. And they had that tag team. They had the match against Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine with 2 referees. And that's when they first won the titles. It was in that. I love that match. I watched that match over and over. I had the Bulldogs shirt. Remember the 3/4 one?
Yeah.
Sleeves of the. I had that. I love the British Bulldogs. That's a great pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, they are, what a lot of tag teams now, when you watch guys like the Revival, I know they're called something else in AEW, but I know them as the Revival. I miss a lot of really good tag team wrestling, the holding of the rope, the quick tags, the good teamwork, those guys. Yeah. Those guys were the epitome of great tag team wrestling. Same with the Hart Foundation, same with like the Brain Busters, same with the Rockers. Like, it's just fun to watch a really good tag team match. Yeah. And they took the tag team level in the 80s, early 90s to the next level. Mm-hmm. And they also had successful singles careers. I mean, at least Davey Boy did, and Sean and Brett did. So, it was kind of cool to see these superstars launch their careers out of tag team wrestling.
Yeah, I love that's a great pick.
And Davey Boy Smith, he made those braids look pretty darn good.
Yeah. He didn't have braids back like when they first started.
Yeah.
Short, and then Dynamite Kid had that snap suplex. Remember that thing? Just pow, just hit that thing. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. All right. Well, I think we just set the record for longest Podium Picks episode of all time.
I love it.
I mean, look, guys, I feel bad, but I want people to know why I picked these picks. I'm sorry that you had to listen to an hour and a half of this.
Listen, man, we could have gone 3 hours on this one, but we knew we had to have you on for this because no one knows more about this than Josh.
I appreciate you guys having me on for this, and like I said, I'm sorry for the confusion earlier. I thought you wanted me to pick who I thought would be really good wrestlers. So that's why I was like, Chandler Smith.
You know what? Why don't we put that on the calendar and we'll do that one later on. We'll have you back and we'll do that one.
Because I have some great ideas. I have a great idea for a match. I'm not even going to spoil it because you know what? I'm hoping Katie and Bill Henniger are listening to this and they're like, we're going to hang a Money in the Bank briefcase off of the Zeus rig and the winner gets a gift card to Rogue? Are you crazy, Josh?
I'm a genius.
Or my tag team of Alex Smith and Ben Smith, but then Alex Smith turns heel on Ben, doesn't want to live in Ben's shadow anymore. I mean, it writes itself, people.
Okay. Well, we haven't committed to doing CrossFit Wrestlemania this year, but Josh, if you'd want to come back for that, that's the kind of stuff that we do. We make.
You want me to talk about my manager of the year, Danny Soul, out of CrossFit Soul? He's like the Paul Heyman of CrossFit, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. See, I'm going off on
untapped resource.
I'm curious. Any honorable mentions that just missed that you were?
My finisher, I wanted to do the Dudley Death Drop.
That's
great.
Yeah, the Doomsday Device. Those are a couple.
That was a great one. One of my favorites. I just like good names. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I loved Ahmed Johnson back in the day.
Ahmed Johnson.
The Pearl River Plunge was one of my favorites. This is a sit out power bomb, but it just felt like, I don't know, it felt authentic.
I got a real quick rapid fire one, and let's just see if you guys can. You don't have to give me the Joshy G explanation, but just real quick, I just have a couple of categories. I'm curious to hear what you think are. Number one, worst gimmick.
Oh, Doink the Clown.
I disagree, but okay.
I'm trying to think.
Honestly, off the top of my head, it was Lightning Round.
Honestly, I'll be honest. I hated Cody Rhodes' Stardust.
Okay.
You mean okay.
That probably wouldn't be the worst for me.
The Boogeyman was pretty awful too.
Okay.
Oh, Mantar.
Mantar was awesome.
I was gonna say TL
Mantar in here.
I was gonna go with TL Hopper.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Goon.
The Goon. Oh, he was the hockey guy, right?
Yeah, he was the Goon. TL Hopper stands for toilet lid hopper. He was a plumber.
What about Erwin R. Shyster? Remember him?
Oh, IRS? Great. Yeah. All right. And then the last one, real quick, rapid fire. Best gimmick.
Oh, that's hard. You know what? The one that comes in my mind off the top of my head is Stone Cold, because he remember he was like the $1 million champ at first.
The ringmaster. Yeah, he was the ringmaster.
Then he became this guy that everybody wanted to be. Everybody wanted to tell their boss off and like be able to like throw beer at him and give him a stunner. And he became like everybody sort of middle finger to the establishment, and people loved it. I don't think there was ever a better gimmick, like change of gimmicks than what he did that resonated with more people than Stone Cold, whether he was a heel or a face. Like people loved that guy regardless.
Okay.
and Josh might not like this. I loved Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
No. See, I agree with you. I love Hollywood Hogan.
That was a good one.
I thought it was so good. Like with the spray painted belt and like the dark beard scruff and the guitar riff coming out. Like,
see.
Now,
I agree with. Sorry, I agree with you because I believe that's Hogan times 11, right? Say your prayers, eat your vitamins. To me, that was horse shit. I'm like, this guy doesn't believe that.
Well, allegedly, he wanted to do that after he put the Warrior over at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Like he wanted that character to start then. That's what I saw an interview with him and said that's what he wanted to do. Like maybe that. Could you imagine the mind blowing heel turn that would have been at that point?
Yeah,
would have been unbelievable. So
but I agree with you, Tommy. That's a great character.
All right.
I was going to say $1 Million Man, or Razor Ramon.
That was a good one too.
Razor Ramon was phenomenal. Yeah. Oh man. I remember just buying toothpicks just because of Razor Ramon. And
just flick them at people.
Hey, Chico.
All right. Well, Josh, thanks so much for doing that, man. That was a blast. It's always great talking wrestling with you. We really
guys, this was a lot of fun, and hopefully we will see that Money in the Bank on top of the Zeus rig at some point. The Rogue Invitational is right around the corner. We got to make it happen, guys.
Yeah, we'll see.
But seriously, it's been a lot of fun. Miss talking to you guys, miss seeing you guys out on the competition floor, miss talking to all the CrossFit fanatics out there all over the world. So, this is my way of sharing some fun inside of what I love, which is pro wrestling. So
and fitness. And if people want to find you on Instagram, you're at JoshyG27.
At JoshyG27. If you like nerd stuff and some fitness, if you like all the fitness, is at Deadboys Fitness.
Yeah, check them out. Deadboys is doing great work out there, and we appreciate you guys spreading the word of fitness. Okay, so for everybody listening to this or watching this on YouTube, if you want to vote on who had the best draft, you got to go to the Talking Elite Fitness Instagram page. We'll have a post up, and you can post who you think won. So vote in the comments. That's the only way you can vote. The only way votes count is in the comments of the Talking Elite Fitness Instagram page. So we'll have that posted. Do some campaigning.
I was about to say, I'm going to have to campaign on this. There's going to get a lot of Colby Lopez 34 or a lot of Seth Rollins fake accounts going to come after you.
Oh man, yeah, we are definitely kicking the hornet's nest on this one. Yeah. All right, Josh, thanks so much for doing this, man. Hope to see you soon back there doing your thing on the competition floor. I know the people love hearing you on the mic during competition, and hope to have that happen sooner rather than later. Thanks everybody for listening and watching. Sorry we went a little long on that, but it was a lot of fun, at least for us. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. So for Tommy Marquez and Josh Gallegos, I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other, be better, and we will talk to you guys next time.